Welcome, Patriots, to the Raw Feed. I'm Gary Franchi, and we are live right now, streaming to millions worldwide on YouTube, plus our freedom fighters on Rumble and X. And as you're watching right now, repost this show to your followers on X. Let's bypass our algorithm and grab your phone and text the stream to everyone that you know, because what we're about to expose is going to change everything. Tonight, we're diving deep into the biggest political earthquake since 1776. The deep state's worst nightmare is unfolding as Trump orders the nuclear option. Full declassification of every dirty secret that was buried forever. Obama has been named as the ringleader of treason. Epstein Phase 2, is it dropping? And the Autopen scandal proves that Biden hasn't been running anything but a con game. And here is what sets the Raw Feed apart. We're not just talking at you, we're talking with you. Drop your reactions in the live chat right now. Tell us what you think about Obama finally being exposed. We're going to be featuring your comments on screen for the world to see. And if you send in those super chats on YouTube or Rumble Rants, we're going to read them between segments. So send them in right now before we even begin. And let's chat explode. Now, on this day in history, July 22nd, 1796, Moses Cleveland founded the city of Cleveland, Ohio, establishing American sovereignty over territory the British claim was theirs. Will sound familiar? Today, 229 years later, we're our republic from foreign interests and domestic traders who sold us out. Just as Cleveland planted the American flag against British tyranny, Trump is planting the flag of justice against the deep state empire. So if you want to support this show, you want to do it privately, you can hit those donation links in the description. Every dollar helps us stay on the air, exposing what they desperately want hidden. Now, today we're unpacking 5 explosive stories. First, the Russiagate, or I think it's probably Obamagate. Yes, retribution is going to put Obama, Hillary, and the whole coup crew in the crosshair of real justice. Second, the Epstein Phase 2 panic that has Congress literally fleeing town to avoid votes. Third, the fraud files on Letitia James and Adam Schiff. These prosecutors are the real criminals facing decades in prison. And fourth, the Autopen coup, revealing Biden's presidency is literally fake. It was fake, signed by robots and not humans. We have a whistleblower now has come forward. And fifth, how the Fed and the big banks are crushing Americans while helping foreign nationals buy up our country. Plus, the fake Powell resignation letter that fooled officials at the highest levels because they're so desperate for change. Now, don't forget to check out our merch shop. It's at shop.nextnewsnetwork.com. We've got Alligator Alcatraz, President Autopen, and our American Badass series. Show the world your favorite news source and support independent media. And for those who want to go deeper, you can join our YouTube memberships. Each tier unlocks special perks. You'll get acknowledged in the chat room, exclusive access to the Next News team behind-the-scenes content, and access to our 24/7 members-only Discord where patriots unite around the clock. And we have actually just launched an iOS and an Android app. We're going to be launching that, a select few beta testers, so stay tuned for the news on that and find out how you will be invited. So make sure you're us on all platforms, YouTube, Rumble, and X. Remember, they can't silence us if we're everywhere. The establishment's terrified because we're exposing their crimes in real time, with your help, with your voice, and of course your commitment to the truth. So this is not just another news show. This is a revolution in media where you are part of the story. Your comments, your super chats, and your energy drives this movement forward. So buckle up, Patriots, because the next few hours are going to blow your mind. The criminals are panicked, justice is coming, and we are here to document every beautiful moment of their downfall. Let's get into it. The storm has arrived, and you're watching it live on the Raw Feed. Let's welcome you to the show. We got Utah ZSS here, Lewis Brockman in the house. We got Robert Messner, R&F, Amelia Brincat in the house. We got Cersei, Billy, Michael Jones, and the Madness, Scontek, Danielle Meets the Lion, Jerry Beach, Pothead Kenny, what's up? Good to see y'all here. Who else is tonight? 888, Sabrina, James Snowden, Michael Jones. Who else is in the house tonight? We got Nikki and Dangerous and Jim Unger is here. We got Sabrina. We got Smugsley. We got WWG1, WGA, MAGA. We got Corey Mays. Lori Oliphant is here. We got Vernon German. James. We've got everybody. Everyone's here. Winnie Skis is here. Yes, I'm glad that you found us as well. Nikki Rev is here. Andy Cobb. Margie Cavalier. Cindy, lock them up. I agree. We got Jonas. The gang is in the house. Heather says, Gary, watch your sound. Well, I'll try. Jersey Bell is here. Nikki, Pothead, Broken Prophet, Cindy, Capuchin Monkey. The gang's all here. Now, let's get into our first topic of the evening because we don't want to delay any further because the news is breaking. But first, we have our trivia question where you can answer in the poll or in the comments or in the chat. What did James Comey famously try to blend in with to avoid Trump at a White House reception? Was it A, the blue room curtains, B, a potted plant, C, Secret Service agents, or D, the Marine Band? I think I know the answer to this one. I want to see if you guys get it right. We're going to find out after this segment. They called it a conspiracy theory for nearly a decade. They destroyed lives, careers, and reputations to protect them. But now the documents are out, and the truth is more explosive than anyone imagined. President Trump just unleashed the Kraken, full declassification of everything. Obama's name is all over it. Hillary's fingerprints are everywhere. And the FBI officials who swore they were protecting America, well, they were really just protecting themselves. What you're about to see is not just vindication, it's evidence of the biggest political crime in American history. The hunters have officially become the hunted, and now there is nowhere left to hide. So stay with me. Now, you probably think your 401k is safe, but it wasn't designed to make you wealthy. It was built to shift retirement costs and to you, leaving your savings exposed to crashes, inflation, and chaos. But Americans are waking up and taking control of real assets like gold. Noble Gold Investments has helped thousands secure their future by converting part of their 401k and tax-advantaged gold into a tax-advantaged gold IRA without penalties or headaches. It's safe, it's simple, and it's smart. Visit nextnewsgold.com to get your free wealth protection kit and discover how to safeguard your savings. Open a qualified account today and receive two 5-ounce silver America the Beautiful coin, absolutely free. That's nextnewsgold.com, your exit from the danger zone, or call that number on the screen, 877-646-5347. And when you talk to Colin, tell him that I said hello. Now, we have to start this whole segment with our Mexican word of the day. Yes, what is it? Oh, the Mexican word of the day is Kenya. Can you try me for treason if I'm not American? Ooh, yeah, the memes are flying hard. President Obama now officially released a statement. Yeah, because he knows he's on the hot seat and he's going to try anything he can to downplay this. This is his official statement. Out of respect for the office of the presidency, our office does not normally dignify the constant nonsense and misinformation flowing out of this House with a response. But these claims are outrageous enough to merit one. These bizarre allegations are ridiculous and a weak attempt at distraction. Nothing in the document issued last week undercuts the widely accepted conclusion that Russia worked to influence the 2016 presidential election, but did not successfully manipulate any votes. These findings were affirmed in a 2020 report by the bipartisan Senate Intelligence Committee led by then-Chairman Marco Rubio. Yeah, there is Barack Obama's official statement from his office. Now, notice how they ended off by throwing in Marco Rubio. That is their attempt to validate all of their findings. Now, how do we know that Marco Rubio had the correct information? How do we know that Marco Rubio and his committee were not fed basically they were fed all the wrong intelligence reports that were manufactured, as Tulsi Gabbard has revealed. Okay, so spare me, we're gonna lift up Marco Rubio because he's the paragon of virtue here, and he's gonna make sure he's gonna put the bow on this and prove the whole thing is all misinformation from this White House. That's how they're trying to play this thing. Oh, here's another meme. Rob Schneider, the comedian, posted this. When you rig an election and still lose, and the winner is about to declassify everything. Yep, that's the face you make. Barack Obama, terrified. Vigilant Fox, Trump just crossed the Rubicon and there is no going back. Inside the Oval Office, cameras rolling, he accused, this is today, huge, he accused Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton of orchestrating the Russia hoax. He then said it flat out. Obama committed treason. But it's what he revealed next that could blow the lid off the deep state. And we have all the documents from what Tulsi told. She's got thousands of additional documents coming. Now, I want to jump into this thread for a second, but I do want to bring up what Don Jr. posted 10 hours ago. Worse than Watergate. Bombshell. The walls are closing in. For the regime media, the only thing lower than their credibility is their pathetic ratings. We're going to get to Don Jr.'s reaction in a second, but first, I think we really need to play what the president said in the Oval Office today. Now, the cameras were rolling for a routine Oval Office meeting with the Philippine President Bongbong Marcos. Trade, international relations were on the agenda until they weren't. One question from the press turned the entire conversation upside down. Listen.
And I read
Gabbard has submitted a criminal referral to the Department of Justice. From your perspective, who should the DOJ target as part of their investigation? What specific figures in the Obama administration?
Well, based on what I read pretty much what you read, it would be President Obama. He started it. And Biden was there with him. And Comey was there. And Clapper. The whole group was there. Brennan. They were all there in a room. Right here. This was the room.
Gabbard has submitted a criminal referral.
And that is only the beginning.
From your
That's when things took a historic turn. The Overton window was about to be shattered. No more implications, no more code words. Trump said directly Barack Obama was guilty of masterminding the Russia hoax and called it what it is in his mind.
It was them too. If you look at those papers, they have them stone cold, and it was President Obama. It wasn't lots of people all over the place. It was them too. But the leader of the gang was President Obama, Barack Hussein Obama. Have you heard of him? And except for the fact that he gets shielded by the press for his entire life. That's the one they, look, he's guilty. It's not a question, I like to say, let's give it time. It's their guilty. This was treason. This was every word you can think of. They tried to steal the election. They tried to obfuscate the election. They did things that nobody's ever even imagined, even in other countries. If you look at that, those.
And I will personally add, overthrow a duly elected president. But Trump was not done. What came next was a bombshell, a bad day to be an Obama official. He revealed that the National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard has been sitting on thousands of never-before-seen documents, records that, according to him, could blow the lid off of the entire Obama-era operation. But you've never seen anything like it. Listen.
Yeah, but you've never seen anything like it. And we have all of the documents. And from what Tulsi told me, she's got thousands of additional documents coming. So President Obama, it was his concept, his idea, but you've never seen anything. His concept,
his idea. President Trump drawing a straight line back to the source and preparing the public for what is coming next. But it would not be the Russia hoax without naming another prominent Democrat, the crooked one. President Trump shifted to Hillary Clinton and the Steele dossier, accusing her of bankrolling a report so phony even the media wouldn't touch it.
Report that was, but he also got it from crooked Hillary Clinton. Crooked is a $3 bill. Hillary Clinton and her group, the Democrats, spent $12 million to Christopher Steele to write up a report that was a total fake report. Took 2 years to figure that out, but it came out that it was a total fake report. It was made up fiction. And they used that. Now, the one thing they weren't able to do was to, and probably the only thing I respect about the press in years is the press refused to write it before the election. They refused to put it in. The Steele report was a disaster. All lies, all fabrication, all admitted. and admitted fraud. She paid $12 million, and the Democrats, for that report to a wise guy named Christopher Steele. He wrote a phony report, and they wanted to get that report in before the election. And I'll tell you what, I talk about all the time, the fake news, how bad it is. But in this case, they wouldn't do it. They saw it, they read it, and they said, we don't believe it. And it was only after, substantially, like a month and a half after the election, that it got printed, and it was a big whisper. It was just like a bang of nothing, because the election had ended. If that report had gotten published by the New York Times or somebody, and I respect the Times for maybe only this, because they're crooked as you can be. They're a terrible paper, a crooked, corrupt paper. But for this one moment, they said, this is bullshit, we can't put this in. But he also got it from
President Trump not holding back. Continuing on with the vigilant Fox thread, it's all connected. Trump closed the loop by bringing it back to 2020 and the aftermath. What started in the Oval Office under Obama, he said, didn't end with the Mueller report. It bled into the next election, reshaped the country, and opened the floodgates.
And the 2020, never has a thing like this happened in the history of our country. And by the way, it morphed into the 2020 race. And the 2020 race was rigged, and it was a rigged election. And because it was rigged, we have millions of people in our country. We had inflation. We solved the inflation problem. But millions and millions of people came into our country because of that. And people that shouldn't have been, people from gangs and from jails and from mental institutions, people that we don't want in our country, and people that we're getting out, dangerous people. Never has a...
It all started with Barack Obama in the Oval Office that day. President Trump not holding back. This is huge development in the Oval Office today. Now let's take a listen to what Donald Trump Jr. had to say on his program. Listen.
There's such a leap.
It's also a media scandal. For literally years and years, the media spewed nonsense about collusion, lies about the Steele die, and endless testimony hearings. And witch hunts? Well, here's a quick trip down memory lane. Check this one out. I'm sure you'll remember these files.
Understand just how much trouble the president is in.
To believe that the president isn't compromised requires such a leap of faith.
I think we have all the proof of a scandal that's arguably worse than Watergate.
The U.S. president possibly working for the Russians, possibly an unwitting pawn.
Now, here's what the president said when asked if he's a secret Russian agent.
The president did not directly answer the question.
Why not just say no, if that's the answer?
There is tons of proof of potential collusion.
We have dramatic evidence of collusion.
How is it not collusion? How is all of that not collusion?
A political hurricane is out there at sea for him. We'll call it Hurricane Vladimir, if you will.
Donald Trump knows the noose is tightening.
The noose is tightening.
The noose is tightening, if you will.
The noose is tightening around the president.
The noose is tightening. And I thought that the noose is tightening and that people might go to jail.
He knows he and POTUS are going to prison.
Well, I think they're all going to end up together in prison, and maybe that's a good thing.
Oh, my God.
The walls appear to be closing in on the president.
The investigative walls are closing in.
He feels the walls closing in.
The walls are closed.
Trump resigns, quote, once Mueller closes in on him and the family.
It's also a media scandal.
So Don Jr. posting that montage on his X account, and you could easily now take all those sound bites and apply them to Barack Obama. Mark Meadows says Obama, Bread and Clapper, Susan Rice et al., they leaked to the press. Then they investigated their own leak, which they knew was false. You guys heard of something called the wrap-up smear? Well, that's exactly what this was. Listen.
Is that there?
We all got it right. There were a very small number of people that wanted to get it right. You two were leading the effort. Here we are. Mark Meadows, what does this mean?
Well, I think it's a big day, but I think the other thing is that there's going to be all kinds of postmortems to suggest, well, what we knew back then, you were willing to cover, Sean, actually wasn't the case. And so what do we know? We know that candidate Donald Trump and candidate Hillary Clinton did differently. We also know that Clapper, Brennan and Comey met outside the workplace. We know that according to text messages. And we also know that in August of 2016, they were actually meeting at the White House. And so does this come as a surprise to Jim, you, or me? No, not at all. But here's what should be told tonight is they need to go after all the people that they shared in the legacy media that covered this up, including Adam Schiff.
That's a great point. Jim Jordan, I'll go to you. To me, this grand conspiracy investigation that Kash Patel has now opened a number of weeks ago, I think a lot of this is going to come down to whether or not what we refer to as the deep state, and there is one, and whether or not there were people within our government knowingly lying to the American people, spreading propaganda for the purposes of tipping an election to one side over the other. You can say, for example, the Russia hoax would be one example for 2016, but also the double standard with top secret classified information with Hillary. Or, of course, the Russian disinformation dossier that Hillary Clinton paid for. Then you go to 2020, the laptop from hell, 51 former intel agents that knew nothing about that laptop. Boy, they all sounded like experts. Looks like Russian interference. None of them looked at it. And then you could take it through lawfare in 2024. They went after Donald Trump with a vengeance so they could call him a convict, mugshot him. They wanted to put him in jail. They never thought he would be able to beat the system. But this is a 10-year period of time that we're talking about here.
Right. And it all started back in 2016. And it wasn't just to keep him from winning the election in 2016. It was to undermine his presidency after he had already won. I want you to think of 3 dates in the interim between Election Day and Inauguration Day back in 2016, 2017. December 9th, Obama calls a meeting in the White House. All the intelligence community is there, plus the Justice Department. You got Lynch, you got Comey, you got Clapper, you got Brennan. They're all there. Obama says, we're not going to go with the intelligence community assessment. We're going to put that on hold. And they put together a new one. 3.5 weeks later, January 3rd, Chuck Schumer's on one of the Sunday shows, and he said, if you mess with the intelligence community, talking to President-elect Donald Trump, if you mess with the intelligence community, they have 6 ways from Sunday to get back at you. 3 days later, Sean, 3 days later, January 6th at Trump Tower, the intelligence community, Comey, Brennan, Clapper, go up there to give President Trump what he believes is the defensive briefing all incoming presidents get. So he's expecting just the normal briefing. Instead, it's a setup. They go up there and brief him, and then they tell him about the dossier that they already know is false. And then it gets leaked to the press, and thereby giving it credibility when the press reports that Jim Comey, FBI director, briefed Donald Trump on the Russian dossier. It was all garbage, but it was all designed to undermine. This is where it began. The whole weaponization of government began here. And to your first point, Sean, you're right. We had figured this out several years ago, and we're covering this, and the only thing we had wrong was it was worse than we. It's the only thing we get wrong when we dig into these investigations. It's always worse than we thought.
Well, now the truth is coming to light. And that's why they wanted to stop Tulsi Gabbard from ever being DNI. They knew that she would uncover all this. Senator Rand Paul has entered the chat. CIA used foreign spies to target President Trump. Listen.
Tried to rig the election.
I mean, I know we're hypothesizing here and speculating, but what potentially could Obama or any of the ringleaders of this, what could they be charged with? What could they potentially be, Brennan, how could they be held accountable, Clapper included? Senator Rand Paul.
You know, there were stories even at the time. I remember in the transition to the Trump presidency, I remember people talking about it, that the Obama administration was spreading things around to make sure that they couldn't be destroyed by the Trump administration. What they were spreading around was misinformation. You remember the guy that did the Steele dossier? All of a sudden, he's flying across the ocean and meeting secretly with John McCain, who breathlessly believed everything this spy was telling him. He was basically duped by a spy with misinformation from the Clinton campaign. McCain then comes running back and dutifully tells the Intelligence Committee what he was being given. So the Democrats give the Intelligence Committee the and community the Steele dossier. The Steele dossier is then given back to McCain, who then gives it back to the intelligence agency. So it all starts in one place, goes in a circle, and McCain was basically duped into being a part of ginning up this big hoax. But the one principle that's important above and beyond who gets prosecuted, even above and beyond Donald Trump, is we cannot allow our intelligence agencies to go after U.S. citizens, particularly the CIA. I think what they did in this instance is the head of the CIA, John Brennan, I believe interacted with the head of intelligence in England and other countries to spy on U.S. citizens. I believe that those meetings in a bar, random meetings in a bar where they're recording Trump employees, I don't think those. I think those were ordered by the CIA, but they knew it was illegal to do themselves, so they got British intelligence or Australian intelligence or other countries' intelligence to do their dirty work.
We brought this up yesterday when we covered this topic about the Five Eyes intelligence community. That's how the CIA can get around these, the law, get around the Constitution. I mean, they just simply ask the foreign intelligence to spy on Americans. Donald Trump Jr. posting this 6 hours ago. Obama and his deep state goons like Brennan knew the entire time the Russia hoax was BS. He's quote tweeting Molly Hemingway of The Federalist. When top officials push back on aspects of the hoax due to the lack of evidence for claims, they're overruled, dismissed, and defamed by Brennan. Here's more from Molly Hemingway. Records show Brennan overruled his experts in order to push the false Russia collusion narrative and harm Trump. From Professor M.J. Cleveland and me. Here's the headline. Top intelligence officials contradicted Brennan. No intelligence to support key Russia hoax claim. And this, of course, reinforces what Tulsi Gabbard has now just released. Now, let's take a flashback here. ALX posting this 24 hours ago. Here's James Clapper back in 2019 with Anderson Cooper on CNN. And this is basic. Listen carefully, the language here. He says that we are part of the group tasked by President Obama. So he's pointing the finger at Barack Obama. It goes right. The buck stops at Barack Obama. Listen.
This is a month, and certainly those of us that she named, John Brennan and Jim Comey and I, part of the group that were tasked by President Obama to put together all the reporting we had on the Russian interference, and which we President Obama directly and personally confronted Putin about the Russian interference in September, and did not accept at face value Putin's protestations. John Brennan directly did the same thing with his counterpart. On October 7th of 16, we put out a statement. I say we, Jay Johnson, then Secretary of Homeland Security, and I put out a statement on the 34th, right when, about warning of the Russian interference in our election. This was a month before the election, which unfortunately got drowned out of the Access Hollywood tape revelation. On December 29th, the administration issued a series of sanctions. PNG, 35 Russian operatives, closed 2 dachas, et cetera. And then, of course, on January 6th, we issued our intelligence community assessment, documentation interference, in which we had very high confidence in the evidence that we presented to then President-elect Trump at Trump Tower. And certainly
all the way to the top, the head of the snake, Barack Obama. Here's John Brennan talking about Tulsi Gabbard being President Trump's top director of national intelligence. He was terrified someone not owned by the swamp would be in that position. Because now Brennan's crimes are all being exposed, all of them. Listen to this guy. Flashback.
It has taken.
Director Brennan, your thoughts about Tulsi Gabbard?
Well, I think you and Tom Nichols have done a great job just underscoring all the concerns that people have about this appointment. Clearly, Tulsi Gabbard has taken actions and made statements over the past several years that really raise serious questions about her common sense, her judgment, as well as her political sympathies, cozying up to Putin as well as to meeting with Bashar Assad, I think really does show that she doesn't have the type of perspective that is needed for somebody who's going to head up these 18 intelligence agencies. And as Tom Nichols said, she doesn't have any qualifications. The Director of National Intelligence, that's a really serious position and a very complex and complicated one that requires somebody who actually has an understanding of the intelligence community. It's like an orchestra conductor of all the different agencies and departments that are involved in the intelligence process. And I don't think she understands even the instruments that are involved in this orchestra, nor has she had any experience at the strategic level of running and leading a large, complex organization. And the Director of National Intelligence is, according to legislation, the president's principal intelligence advisor, the person who is responsible for making sure that the president's daily brief is put together in a very sound and forthright manner. The person who puts together the budget and the priorities of the intelligence community. So I know that this appointment is sending shockwaves here in the United States, but also around the globe in terms of, is this really who Donald Trump is going to entrust with the care and the leadership of the intelligence community?
Yeah, it's sending shockwaves, not around the world. It's sending shockwaves to your cabal of criminals. Okay? All right, here's Glenn Beck's take. Attorney Mr. D. DeMia says it sounds like Tulsi Gabbard released enough evidence to indict Brennan Clapper and maybe even Obama over the Russia hoax. Let's hear. He's got Mike Davis on the phone. Listen.
Is there enough here to indict Obama or Brennan or Clapper or any of these people?
Well, based upon what Tulsi Gabbard has said, it sounds like it. Now, remember, there's the issue of presidential immunity for the sitting president of the United States. So any indictment of President Obama would have to go through a presidential immunity analysis to make sure that doing as his core constitutional responsibilities, he's absolutely immune. What he's doing in his official capacity, separate from core constitutional responsibilities, he's presumptively immune. But here's the problem. What President Obama did after he left office, when he continued to conspire after he left office, it's an ongoing conspiracy. If he continued to cover it up, if he continued to conspire, he could not claim presidential immunity.
So, Mike, there are people that say, in fact, the New York Times said, this is not a story because what the president was talking about was digital conspiracy to hack into the voting record.
Okay, I want to pause this here for a second because this has been brought up. The fact that Barack Obama may have presidential immunity. Remember, the Supreme Court ruled that Donald Trump has presidential immunity. And we all celebrated that fact. But does that extend to Barack Obama during his time in the Oval Office? Well, as you heard Mike Davis just say, if these actions extended outside of the Oval Office, the conspiracy continued after Barack Obama left office, then he doesn't have presidential immunity. At that time, now, he is just a regular American citizen who is participating in a conspiracy against a sitting president. So after Barack Obama left office, if he continued to cooperate and coordinate and direct any of these players behind the scenes, or even have any communications with them regarding it, that extends the statute of limitations and moves his presidential immunity. Okay? I want to make that point clear because I think Glenn kind of just glossed over it here because what Mike said was very important. Let's just back just a hair here.
He continued to conspire after he left office. It's an ongoing conspiracy. If he continued to cover it up, if he continued to conspire, he could not claim presidential immunity.
So, Mike, the people that say, in fact, the New York Times said, this is not a story because what the president was talking about was digital conspiracy to hack into the voting records, not a propaganda war. And that's what he had changed. Instead of focusing on the digital, he instead went to a propaganda war. And that makes all of this nonsense.
No, the Democrats' argument is nonsense. They went after President Trump for the non-crime of objecting to a presidential election, which is allowed by the Electoral Count Act of 1887 and the First Amendment. We don't see Democrats objecting to Republican presidential wins in 1968, 2000, 2004, and 2016. Al Gore, John Kerry, and Hillary Clinton aren't in prison for objecting, right? And so they went after Trump for the non-crime of objecting to a presidential election. What they did was a real crime. They politicized and weaponized intel agencies and law enforcement to take out a presidential candidate, to take out the president of the United States, take out a former president of the United States. They lied to a FISA court. They continue to lie to Congress as late as 2002 in congressional testimony when there was allegations of perjury to cover up this ongoing criminal conspiracy. Continue to lie to this day. So these are real crimes. I can't think of a bigger scandal in American history than politicizing and weaponizing a political party, including their leader in the White House, politicizing and weaponizing intel agencies and law enforcement to take out a political opponent and a sitting president and a former president. That's what you do in third world Marxist hellholes.
Address critics of people who say this.
Okay, let's continue here in our research. Here's Laura Loomer, 13 hours ago. This is interesting. The swamp is still active. Listen to this. Former Obama CIA Director John Brennan's Director of Operations, Tom Rakusin, is currently working at the Department of Defense under administration as a senior advisor to the Deputy Secretary of Defense, Steve Feinberg. In another example of a shocking failure that threatens to undermine the Trump administration, Tom Rakusin, a former CIA official who worked for the CIA as John Brennan's Director of Operations when Brennan was working with Obama, Clapper, and Comey to fabricate the intelligence surrounding the Russia collusion hoax to stage a coup against President Trump, is now somehow working under the second Trump administration in a senior role at the Department of Defense. So she's tagging the key players. I have a feeling that man's not going to be working much longer for any of those administration officials. Here we have an email 16 hours ago. Mila Joy posting, email from John Brennan confirms the 51 intelligence agents signed the infamous letter solely to give Biden the ability to lie to Americans in order to be elected. The 51 need to be prosecuted. They stole 2020. Here's the email. It is from John Brennan, and it is to Michael Morrell. Michael, add my name to the list. Good initiative. Thanks for adding me to sign on. And there's a series of replies here, and you can see the last sentence. Trying to give the campaign, particularly during the debate on Thursday, talking points to push back on Trump on this. So clearly, that entire letter, the 51 intelligence agents, was all designed to cover the election. Nothing new. Nobody ever said the Russians hacked the election, except, of course, they all said the Russians hacked the election. I mean, that's all we heard for 4 straight years. And now we have this from John Solomon, something called Arctic frost, now been officially referred to FBI Director Kash and AG Pam Bondi for criminal investigation and prosecution. Senator Chuck Grassley and Senator Ron Johnson, via a whistleblower, confirm a criminal conspiracy.
Jackson, Senator Johnson, Senator Grassley just sent this to me a little bit ago while we're on air. It's a major development. You're taking a look at a letter right there that was just sent to the FBI Director Kash Patel and the Attorney General Pam Bondi. What does it say? It says that Congress has obtained evidence that shows that the Biden White House was directly involved in trying to help start Jackson's investigation on the January 6th probe against President Trump. Specifically, that the White House counsel's office secretly obtained President Trump's and Vice President Mike Pence's former phones and giving them to the prosecutors, basically sicking the Justice Department on his future competitor, his future rival in the 2024 election, so that they could look for dirt for possible crimes. There's a lot more coming in. There's a lot of other evidence as well of the White House involvement. Remember, 2 years ago, we were the first news agency, right here, Real America's Voice, Just the News, to report that a White House counsel was directly involved with this investigation. Now, more details, including getting, imagine this, you're the Democrat president and you go get the old Republican's phone for your prior president and send it to the Justice Department. That's what Senators Johnson and Grassley were able to confirm tonight. It's in that letter. Keep an eye on justthenews.com. We're going to get you up to speed on that all throughout the night. A lot more development.
This is not going away. It is Barack Obama's worst nightmare. Tulsi exposing it all. Josh Dunlap writing, Hillary Clinton may finally face prison. Trump orders full declassification. President Trump had ordered the immediate release of all FBI files related to Crossfire Hurricane, the infamous Russia collusion investigation. This means that John Durham's report confirms in August 2016, Director John Brennan briefed Obama, Biden, and Clinton on Clinton's plan to falsely link Trump to Russia. They knew, they approved, they watched it unfold. Hillary Clinton's campaign engineered political hoax in American history. Listen.
Next, sir, we have a presidential memorandum for your attention. This memorandum requires the immediate declassification of all FBI files relating to the Crossfire Hurricane investigation. This was obviously one of the instances of the weaponization of law enforcement powers of prosecution against you and others. We believe that it's long past time for the American people to have a full and complete understanding of what exactly is in those files.
Which gives the media the right to go in and check it. You probably won't bother because you're not going to like what you see. But this was total weaponization. It's a disgrace. Should never happen in this country. But now you'll be able to see for yourselves, all declassified. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
All declassified?
Yes, sir.
Everything?
The FBI file with there's a classified annex, but other than that, this we'll put everything in the public eye.
Is anybody going to look? What about you? You going to look? And frankly, the FBI should be ashamed of themselves, and so should the Department of Justice, and so should Biden.
So I think we're going to have to do some digging once they finally release all of that information. President Trump signing that presidential memorandum. We've got this. John Solomon, 48 hours ago, says he has confirmed the DOJ and FBI has been secretly building a massive conspiracy case against the deep state.
Before, and I think next week, over the next 10 days, Ace, who's been wondering, where's all that accountability? They're going to get some big surprises over the next week concerning where the conspiracy began a few weeks before Crossfire Hurricane was over. And when it ended, all the way in 2024, when they were still trying to pursue Donald Trump to keep him from winning the presidency, there's a big case that's been built by the Justice Department and the FBI. It's been masked by a lot of this infighting and drama and soap opera stuff. But the truth of the matter is, MAGA base Americans are going to be happy when they see where this is all heading in the next few weeks. Kash Patel is going nowhere. I hope Dan Bongino isn't going anywhere, but I do think he's going to take some time over the weekend to think that through.
You know, what I think is interesting here, if you, like John Solomon brought up a good point, the fact that it went all the way to 2024, them trying to stop President Trump from winning. And if you remember what happened in Butler, that sloped roof, oh, we can't put anyone up there. It's a sloped roof. And you have a shooter. This goes all, I think this whole thing goes all the way up to that moment where they realized that they had no other chance of stopping Trump other than a cold-blooded assassination. They attempted to stop him at every single turn. I mean, we still don't know anything about Crooks, the shooter. We know nothing. We heard about the phones and bank accounts overseas, that he was training in the same location as intelligence or law enforcement or DHS. I mean, In my mind, all these moments lead right up to that. Because that was their Hail Mary. And he was protected by God in that moment in Butler for such time as this. And I'm going to go out on a limb here, and I'm going to say, yeah, I think that this goes all the way back to Barack Obama and the deep state intelligence cabal that attempted to stop him all the way back in 2016. Then through 2020, then through 2024, and bring it right up to Butler. That's what I believe. Trump's right. It's now or never on holding people accountable. Nick Sortor, 5 hours ago, President Trump calls for all conspirators in the Russiagate hoax to be locked up. Here's what President Trump wrote on Truth Social. This makes Watergate look like small potatoes. Victor Davis Hanson, senior fellow, Hoover Institution. They are caught. Irrefutable evidence. They should all go to jail or it will never stop. Nobody will believe the evidence, which is overwhelming. Make America great again. First part is a quote. This makes Watergate look like small potatoes. Then Trump says, declaratively, they're caught. They should all go to jail or it will never stop. Now, here's David Brody posting this 23 hours ago, an interview with Speaker Mike Johnson. He says, Speaker Johnson tells me he has no concern at all bringing former President Barack Obama in for a congressional deposition or subpoena. If it's uncomfortable for him, he shouldn't have been involved. No concern at all. Wow. Listen.
What Tulsi Gabbard has done, DNI chief, in essence, declassifying hundreds of documents that seem to suggest that manufactured intelligence was at play here with the Obama administration regarding this Russian collusion hoax. I've heard Stephen Miller call it a seditious conspiracy. I've heard Tulsi Gabbard call it a treasonous conspiracy. You're a constitutional guy. What do you see in this exactly? How do you term it?
Well, I don't know how to summarize it by way of description in a snappy phrase, but I will tell you it is deeply problematic. And before I became Speaker of the House, I served on the House Judiciary Committee, which had jurisdiction over a lot of this. And we knew what was happening. We knew intuitively. We were gathering the evidence as we were investigating all of this ourselves. We knew the Russia collusion thing was a hoax. They used it as a basis to attack the president mercilessly. I served on his impeachment defense teams twice. That would be unheard of in history, that a president would be impeached twice on such spurless claims. In those processes, as we were preparing for those defenses, as we were investigating with our oversight responsibility in judiciary, we recognized that the people who are being called out now were involved in a scheme. We knew that it was a shameless, false set of accusations. And yet, they perpetuated the lie on the American people, and they looked right into the camera and just lied, clearly. And they knew what they were up to the whole time. So there must be accountability for that. Because what it does ultimately, the greatest threat of all this is not just what they've done to President Trump as an individual, it's what they're doing to the institutions, even broader than that. They have diminished the people's faith in our system of justice itself, in the institution of the Department of Justice, in the institution of the FBI. And those are critical functions that are played in a constitutional republic. And so we're in the process of restoring trust and rebuilding the people's belief in our system of justice itself. And it's an extraordinary challenge that was brought about because people were involved in a sinister plot. And so there must be accountability.
You say there must be accountability. The DOJ will work on the criminal aspect of this. What's the role of the House here specifically? I mean, people want to see subpoenas. They want to see depositions. They want to see there be Brennan, Clapper, potentially the former president of the United States. Are you willing to go down that route? Because a lot of people want to see some of these folks questioned under oath.
Of course. Look, I think we have a responsibility to follow the truth where it leads and to do it in an unbiased fashion, to do effectively the opposite of what that other team did. They're engaged in a partisan political plot to take down their foe and the other party. We need to be about the rule of law. in order to the chaos and searching out the truth, because the American people are owed those answers. So we have some very bright, very capable, very strong leaders at Judiciary and Oversight, Chairman Jim Jordan, Chairman Jamie Comer, and the other committees that would be involved. And I do expect that whether there's a special counsel appointed, which some are suggesting, and or in conjunction with the House investigations, that we will get the answers, and there will be accountability to the extent that we're able to do that, referring people to the DOJ for prosecution. And any other measure that is appropriate as we begin to uncover more of the facts.
Does it get tricky at all with the former president, President Obama, looking at what his role in this is and bringing him in for some sort of deposition, potential subpoena?
Well, listen, we have no concern about that. If it's uncomfortable for him, he shouldn't have been involved in overseeing this, which is what it appears to us has happened. There's a lot of allegations on the table. Our job is to go and follow each of those trails and to find out the truth. Those are serious allegations with very serious implications, but we're going to have very serious people working on it, and we will get the answers.
So, subpoenaing Obama before Congress is not off the table. Oh, yeah, baby. Let's see it. I want to see it. If you got value from this report, tap subscribe. My final thought is next. So this matters because we're witnessing the collapse of the biggest lie ever sold to the American people. For years, they weaponized our intelligence agencies against a sitting president while enriching themselves and protecting their own power. They called us all crazy for questioning their narrative. They censored us, they canceled us, they tried to break us, but we never gave up. And now, the receipts are in black and white. Obama calling the shots, Hillary orchestrating the frame-up, Comey, Clapper, and Biden, all of them knee-deep in treason. This isn't just about Trump anymore. It's about whether we live in a republic or a banana republic run by criminals who think they're untouchable. So here's my question. Should Obama be the first former president prosecuted for treason? Yes or no? Drop your answer in the comments. Let's continue the conversation. And while you're fired up, make sure you check out our merch shop. It's linked down below. Wear your patriotism proudly. You can support our investigation into President Autopen, or support Alligator Alcatraz, or pick your favorite member of the administration in our American Badass series and trigger a liberal today at shop.nextnewsnetwork.com. Okay, all right. Let's see where we're at right now. We got a couple super chats to come through. Let's go ahead and nail those down, and then we're going to get our answer. Inhuman condition. Gary, can they prosecute Obama if he has presidential immunity for any crimes? During this term, we need justice. Keep up the great work. Well, I believe if you were paying attention, we did address that. Mike addressed that in the segment with respect to the fact that if the crimes were continually committed outside of his presidential term, then no. Okay, he does not have presidential immunity. Thank you for that $10. David Malton dropping $5. May everyone who gives tonight be blessed by Yeshua ben Yahweh Elohim, the only one who is your Savior and loves you. Like the page and give to Gary tonight. Thank you, David. God bless you for that support, and I hope that people will heed your call. Salt and Light dropping $13.99. Barry doesn't stand a chance. Whatever they do and whatever the result may be, stretch this thing on and on and on. Well, Salt and Light, guess what? We're going to continue to cover this. Sometimes it feels like we're just beating a dead horse when we continually cover these topics. I get exhausted personally, but we have to stick through it, and we have to continue to cover it, and that's exactly what we will do. So stay tuned, because this is not over yet. Thank you for that. Looks like we have a new member. Welcome to the family. Golden Najav became a member. Thank you. Welcome to the family. Tom B420 dropping $10. Thanks, Gary and team. $10 in the jar to support our work. Okay, don't go anywhere. I see you thinking, oh, it's kind of slowing down. The show's slowing down. No. The show's getting started. All right? We are just at the beginning. Now let's find out exactly what the answer was. What did Comey hide behind or try to blend in? You guys said it was the Secret Service agents. Nope. It was the Blue Room curtains. Comey actually admitted he was trying to blend into the curtains at the White House event, hoping Trump wouldn't notice his 6x8 frame. Yes, I remember that moment when President Trump saw him standing in the back of the room and called him forward. They shook his hand, and even in the moment that he was still committing treason against Trump. Okay, let's go into our next trivia question because this next topic, don't go anywhere. There's new Epstein developments that have to be addressed and presented and analyzed, digested. So this is our next question. What unusual item did Jeffrey Epstein have installed in his Manhattan mansion that became infamous during investigations? Was it A, a dental chair in the bathroom, B, a painting of Bill Clinton in a blue dress, C, a full-size carousel, or D, a golden toilet? I think I know exactly what the answer is here. I'm not going to say the answer, but you guys can certainly cast your vote in the poll or in the comments or in the chat as we move into our next segment where we will get the answer to this question afterwards. Congress just went into emergency recess. Not for a holiday, not for a crisis. They're running from a vote that would expose names so powerful, even saying them out loud could end careers. Ghislaine Maxwell is about to speak, and the establishment is in panic mode. Attorney General Pam Bondi, she's not playing games anymore. Now she's going straight to the source, trying to save. The House wants Maxwell under oath. The DOJ wants her talking behind closed doors, and caught in the middle, every elite who ever stepped foot on that island. They thought these secrets died with Epstein. Well, they were dead wrong. What's about to drop? The foundations of power in America, so do not look away now. And while the elites scramble to hide their secrets, millions of Americans are taking control of their health naturally. The same system protecting Epstein's client wants you dependent on their expensive solutions. But there is a better way. I use Blood Flow 7 from Juvenon. It's helped me stay sharp and energized during these long investigations into corruption. It works by boosting nitric oxide levels 230% and opening arteries up to 62% to improve blood flow. With just one dose a day, I've improved my stamina, my energy, and focus without caffeine. It's doctor formulated, scientifically backed. Visit bloodflow7.com/NNN. It is linked down below. All right. So some strange news just dropped before we went to press, and we have this. Jeffrey Epstein's attorney has died suddenly. Roy Black, powered lawyer who got Epstein a sweetheart deal, is now dead at 80. He also defended Rush Limbaugh, a Kennedy, Kelsey Grammer, BuzzFeed, and Rolls-Royce. Another name tied to Epstein gone. What are the odds? Now, Aaron Plickington says, well, look who's died with a miraculous timing of a heart attack. That's the only indication that we know of how he passed. Jeffrey Epstein's old attorney, Roy Black, a heart attack at 80. Now, that's not uncommon. We're not going to say that this man was offed to silence him, but of course the timing couldn't be any worse. Jeffrey Epstein's lawyer dying by a heart attack. Maybe it's all the news of Jeffrey Epstein everywhere. That he just couldn't take it anymore, and his heart just said, nope, I'm done. Maybe there was just too much stress, and it got to him. Maybe he was worried about being called up as a witness to testify in front of Congress. Who knows? I mean, there could be a number of reasons why he passed. The fact that he was tied to Jeffrey Epstein really makes it even more suspicious. Everyone's talking about Polymarket even. Jeffrey Epstein's attorney, Roy Black, has died. We have this. Cowboy, 4 hours ago. Maybe you could release Trump's tax returns again. Why didn't you release the Epstein files when the Dems were in power for the last 8 years and scrub them for Biden's name? red herring, eyes on the prize, Autopen, pardon revoked. Representative Thomas Massie, okay, here's Ro Khanna, Democrat, teaming up with Ro Khanna, teaming up with Thomas Massie. He says, Thomas Massie and I have the votes to easily pass the full release of the Epstein files, but the Speaker is recessing Congress. So you have a Democrat and a Republican coming together to release the files, and then they go to recess. Listen.
Washington. So Thomas Massie is saying tonight that if the House closes up for the summer without this vote, it's just going to get worse in September. What is the state of play in this breaking news situation right now tonight on your discharge petition? Well, more and more Republicans are joining the call for a discharge petition, but the Speaker is not willing to have a vote. You know, let's just speak plainly, because we use all these complex words, discharge petition. Sometimes I think Congress is sort of a priesthood, which uses obscure and arcane language to confuse American people. Here's the bottom line. There's the majority of the Congress that has the votes to release the Epstein files. We have a majority of the votes. And the problem is that we're not having a vote. And that's the dirty secret in Washington. It's not how you vote. It's that most of these things never come a vote. And all a discharge petition is saying is that the majority, if they sign something, will demand and be able to get a vote on something that we know is going to pass. And the reality is that Mike Johnson is trying to recess the Congress because there's this arcane rule that the bill has to be there for 7 days before you can actually get all the signatures. And it's been there for about 4 days. So he wants to adjourn us so that we can wait till after Labor Day to get the signatures and have this vote. It's the worst kind of gamesmanship, but the American people are going to see through it.
So, Tom. So are you willing to wait until after Labor Day? Seems like Mike Johnson wants to. Jake Sherman tagging Speaker Johnson, quoting Thomas Massie. I don't understand Thomas Massie's motivation. I really don't. I don't know how his mind works. I don't know what he's thinking. Thomas Massie could have brought this discharge petition anytime over the last 4.5 years, or the last 4 years of the Biden administration. He could have done at any time, and now he's clamoring as if there's some sort of timeline. So that is Jake Sherman. Jake Sherman is the founder of Punchbowl News. And that's what he is talking about. Why didn't it come forward earlier? And then T.J. Roberts says, well, hang on, he did. Here's Thomas Massie saying, I demand the release of the Epstein client list in February of 24. March 27th of 2022, not a man to be trusted, Thomas Massie says, with your food supply or anything else for that matter. And unlike many others, Mr. Gates started the relationship after Mr. Epstein was convicted. June 20th, 2024, he was replying to Tucker. Obviously, blackmail is one tool of statecraft. I just haven't seen it deployed against congressmen. I see them make bad votes for simple and stupid reasons. Seems likely Epstein was involved in a higher level espionage with business leaders and the executive branch. Which executive branch is he talking about? So apparently Massie has been. Here's Cernovich again. Why didn't he do this during the Biden regime? Total stunt queen, he calls him, with deep resentment Trump, and he's insulting your intelligence. 24 hours ago, here is what Thomas Massie posted. If the executive branch won't release phase 2 of the Epstein files, we will. Americans deserve transparency, and the victims deserve justice. Now, if you look at his binder here, it says Epstein files phase 2. That is clearly a shot at when Pam Bondi handed those binders to those conservative influencers that said phase 1. So Thomas Massie getting dragged by Cernovich saying, why didn't you do this during the Biden regime? But then, of course, T.J. Roberts calling him out saying he did in 2021, demanding the release of the client. Okay, so here is the Lincoln Project. Of course, no fan of the Trump administration or Donald Trump himself or MAGA. 9 hours ago, Mike Johnson just canceled votes for Thursday and is sending the House home early for summer recess to avoid having to release the Epstein files. Afraid to take a vote over a witch hunt, they write. Got it. Okay, so here's, they were quote tweeting ACYN, Donald Trump speaking about Epstein A clip from 9 hours ago in the Oval Office. Listen.
Should be very. No, I have no concern. He's a very talented person. He's very smart. I didn't know that they were going to do it. I don't really follow that too much. It's sort of a witch hunt, just a continuation of the witch hunt. The witch hunt that you should be talking about is they caught President Obama absolutely cold, Tulsi Gabbard. They did to this country in 2016, starting in 2016, but going up to 2020 in the election. They tried to rig the election, and they got caught. And there should be very consequences for that.
Continuing on, we have here from the Daily Signal. Daily Signal's G. Caldwell News asked Speaker Johnson if there's more judiciary GOP or GOP oversight can do to bring information on Jeffrey Epstein to light in the halls of Congress. Listen in.
Short of releasing documents, isn't there more that the Judiciary Committee or oversight can do to subpoena accomplices of Epstein and get their thoughts?
And they may, so we'll see how that develops. We got to allow them time to do their work.
You would support that?
Maxwell taking place on the local level in California.
Short of releasing documents,
so he says we got to give them time to do their work. Here is U.S. Representative Thomas Massie, 24 hours ago, announces he will lead independent phase 2 of congressional investigation into the Epstein files.
I was wondering, with the paralysis in the Rules Committee, it seems like they're not going to be meeting again today because of Epstein amendments. Have you chatted with anybody about that at this point?
Well, it wouldn't really matter. Their Epstein bill resolution is non-binding, so it's kind of fake. The resolution that I have co-sponsored with Ro Khanna would actually bring up legislation that would be binding on the president.
Is your understanding that that will ripen the day after lawmakers get back from August recess?
Yeah, unfortunately, we have 6 days and we needed 7 days for the discharge petition to ripen before we could bring this up before the August recess. So we'll have to bring it up after the August recess. But the good news is the Speaker has no interest in keeping us here one extra day.
I was wondering.
The Speaker has no interest in keeping them there an extra day, so they'll have to wait until they come back. They will need this to ripen, as he says. Here is Speaker Johnson 10 hours ago. Says he will suspend the House until September. And they write here to block Epstein file votes and brags that Trump agreed. Listen.
2 questions. First is, did the president or anyone in the administration ask you to delay the resolution until after recess?
No. But I, as you all know, I speak to the president multiple times a day on a typical day, often, always. And what I know about the president's heart on this is that he agrees with everything I've said here today. He wants maximum transparency, but he's also very insistent that we do not subject people who have already been victims of unspeakable crimes to public scrutiny. And it would be a very dangerous thing to put those people's names out or to do a release of information in a way that is haphazard where they could be easily unmasked. And so you have to be very careful to do that. I think we have a moral responsibility to do that. We have a moral responsibility to expose the evil of Epstein, and everybody was involved in that. Absolutely. And we're resolved to do it. But we also have an equal moral responsibility to protect the innocent. And that is a fine needle to thread. And we could all give ourselves easy political cover and come out and do something in a haphazard fashion, but I would not be able to sleep at night because I know our legal responsibility. I understand what the legal standard is, but more than that, the moral standard. So we're going to do this, and we're going to do it expeditiously. We're going to do it the right way. What is popular isn't always right, and what is right isn't always popular. I had an 8th grade teacher tell me that one time. I carried it with me my whole life. We're going to do the right thing here, and the American people at the end will see that we did that in the right way and on the right timetable. Yes.
So he's basically going to use a procedural method to delay until recess is over. Massie is determined to continue with his resolution to release the Epstein files. So we're going to have to see if Speaker Johnson makes good. It sounds like he wants to make good. Sounds like he wants to see justice. He also doesn't want to see innocent people get smeared or victims unmasked who've already gone through too much pain. And at the same time, we have Pam Bondi, who has stated that she has under directive by Donald Trump to go and unseal the grand jury testimony. And we have this is 10 hours ago. Representative Tim Burchett moves to subpoena Ghislaine Maxwell. And the House Oversight Subcommittee approves, apparently. Listen to this.
But it does show, a notable little twist here. A House Oversight Subcommittee just voted moments ago to approve a motion offered by the Republican Congressman Tim Burchett of Tennessee that would direct the committee chairman, James Comer, to issue a subpoena for Ghislaine Maxwell. Now, Burchett offered this motion at the beginning of an oversight subcommittee meeting. He didn't give details about why this, why now, but it does show that tensions are high. Republicans are dissatisfied.
Now, I mean, first of all, yeah, this is all great. We're hearing this news from Congressman Burchett. But as you see, this is an MSNBC clip. And what is MSNBC doing? Repeatedly running pictures of Trump and Jeffrey Epstein in just an effort to smear President Trump. It's disgusting. I'm going to roll it back here.
Issue a subpoena for Ghislaine Maxwell. Now, Burchett offered this motion at the beginning of an oversight subcommittee meeting. He didn't give details about why this, why now, but it does show that tensions are high. Republicans are dissatisfied. This issue is not going away. They're having problems in the Rules Committee. They're having problems getting bills to the floor. And Republicans are demanding more transparency on this issue from the administration. And clearly now there's a desire to hear directly from Ghislaine Maxwell. Now, one of two things has to happen here in order for the subpoena to actually be issued. Either the chairman of the committee, James Comer, also a Republican, a close ally of Trump, issued it himself, or the full oversight committee has to vote in order to move this forward. We have reached out to the committee. We don't exactly know what they're going to do next. Yeah, a notable.
Oh, we're going to find out soon enough, though. How disgusting, though, MSNBC up to old tricks. Drew Hernandez posting this 10 hours ago. Pay attention to the timing here today. Why is Pam Bondi wanting DOJ to meet with Maxwell before the House Oversight speaks with her after voting to subpoena her? He says the DOJ is suspect as hell. Here's the headline. House Oversight votes to subpoena Ghislaine Maxwell over the Epstein files. Now we have this from Tim Burchett. I don't think we're going to see any Trump and Epstein photographs in this clip from him. Clearly, he's doing a selfie video as he walks through the halls of Congress. Let's listen in to what he's saying.
Hey, everybody. Tim Burchett, just leaving Oversight Subcommittee, Government Operations. Hey, brother. Asked some questions to about the GAO, their bid process, but the important thing was that I did a motion to direct the chairman of the full committee to authorize and issue a subpoena for Ghislaine Maxwell before a deposition. And that's it right there. I had it printed out, so I made sure I did it appropriate. Talked to Chairman Comer. He's down. We're good. I believe he's going to issue the subpoena. He's a stand-up guy. We just got to get to the bottom of this thing, folks. It's just, it's 4 years, and, we don't need to tolerate this stuff anymore. And I get the blowback about folks up here going to be mad at me, but ultimately, and with all sincerity, excuse me, I'm going to answer my creator on this issue and what we did about the least amongst us. And we got to send a message to these dirtbags that do this. This is not acceptable behavior. And also a message to the victims that we believe you and that we need to come out of the shadows and we need to bust these people that do this and send them to hell, because I'm over it. Anyway, before I get myself in any more trouble, thank y'all for sending me here. Hey, everybody.
Thank you all for sending me. Tim Burchett doing his duty for the American people. 13 hours ago, Red Wave Press posting that at the direction of the Attorney General Pam Bondi, the DOJ reaching out to Jeffrey Epstein's former girlfriend, Ghislaine Maxwell, to see if she would be willing to speak with them about what she knows. If Ghislaine Maxwell has information about anyone who has committed crimes against victims, the FBI and DOJ will hear what she has to say. Here is the statement. The Department of Justice does not shy away from uncomfortable truths, nor from the responsibility to pursue justice wherever the facts may lead. The joint statement by the DOJ and FBI of July 6th remains accurate today as it was when it was written. Namely, in the recent thorough review of the files maintained by the FBI in the Epstein case, no evidence was uncovered that could predicate an investigation against uncharged third parties. President Trump has told us to release all credible evidence. If Ghislaine Maxwell has information about anyone who has committed crimes against victims, the FBI and DOJ will hear what she has to say. Therefore, at the direction of Attorney General Bondi, I have communicated with counsel for Ms. Maxwell to determine whether she should speak with prosecutors from the department. I anticipate meeting with Ms. Maxwell in the coming days. Until now, no administration on behalf of the department had inquired about her willingness to meet with the government. That changes now. AG Bondi announcing she'll meet with Ghislaine Maxwell to expose the truth about Jeffrey Epstein. Unprecedented. Bondi seeks to find uncharged third parties and further evidence of Epstein's option. So we're going to wait and see. There's a lot moving forward in this case. Okay? We've got Epstein's former lawyer passing away. We've got Rokana Thomas Massie being stonewalled before the congressional recess, coming back afterwards, hopefully to release phase 2. We have Pam Bondi now saying she is going to go and talk to Ghislaine Maxwell with the Department of Justice. We have Tim Burchett on the case. So many developments because this is far from over, and we're going to be on top of this whether you like it or not. So if you got value from this report, tap subscribe. My final thought is next. So this is about justice for victims and accountability for predators who have hidden behind power and money for decades. Maxwell, she holds the keys to a kingdom of corruption that reaches into Hollywood, Wall Street, Silicon Valley, and yes, the highest levels of government. The fact that Mike Johnson shut down Congress rather than allow a vote on releasing else tells you everything. They're terrified. And Bondi meeting with Maxwell while Congress issues subpoenas, that's not a coincidence. That's a race against time. Somebody perhaps who wants to control the narrative before the truth explodes. Name in those files represents a child whose innocence was stolen, a life destroyed by monsters who thought they were untouchable. So here's the question. Do you believe that we will ever see the full client list? Yes or no? Drop your answer in the comments. Let's continue the conversation. And if you want to support our work here at the Next News Network, grab some exclusive merch and support our efforts to expose President Autopen and Alcatraz and your favorite member of the administration in our American Badass series. You can trigger a liberal today at shop.nextnewsnetwork.com. It is linked down below. Okay, don't go anywhere. We got more news on the Autopen front. A whistleblower's come forward. This is pretty wild. Wait till you hear. We have her on video. She's coming forward. Remarkable testimony. We don't have any super chats to speak of, so I want to see what you guys are saying. You guys don't think there's a chance that these files are ever going to see? Yeah, Ozzy Osbourne has passed away. That's wild. He just had a concert just like a week ago. Malcolm Jamal Warner passed away too, drowning in Costa Rica. So a sad day for fans of the people. Tom before 20 dropping $5. Thank you, sir, for that. Put that in the jar. And we're going to get our answer to the trivia question. You guys said it was a painting of Bill Clinton in a blue dress, and you were correct. The bizarre artwork was actually found hanging in Epstein's Manhattan mansion, painted by artist Patrina Ryan Cleed. Interesting. All right, now we're going to go to our next topic. The Autopen story coming up. First, we're going to get to what's going on with Letitia James, as well as Adam Schiff. So what did Letitia James once claim in a speech was her favorite movie about fighting injustice? Was it A, 12 Angry Men, B, To Kill a Mockingbird, C, Legal Blonde, or D, My Cousin Vinny? Well, 12 Angry Men, I think that wasn't that related to Nixon? I think that was related to Nixon. That's presidential. To Kill a Mockingbird, taking place in the South. I'm gonna say maybe To Kill a Mockingbird. That's where I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go with that. That's where I'm gonna go. You guys are saying To Kill a Mockingbird as well. We're gonna find out after the segment. Let's get the latest on Letitia James and Schiff. The hunters just became the hunted. The same prosecutors who spent years going after Trump for made-up crimes, well, they are the real criminals, and the evidence is damning. Letitia James built a $15 million fortune on a government salary by lying on loan applications. She even claimed her father was her husband to get better rates. Adam Schiff, well, the DOJ has him dead to rights on 2 decades of mortgage fraud across multiple states. Now, these are not accusations. These are documented felonies with paper trails. The people who weaponize the justice system for political gain are about to learn what real justice feels like. 30 years in federal prison certainly has a nice ring to it. So keep watching. We're going to bring you the receipts. Now, you probably think your 401k is safe, but it wasn't designed to make you wealthy. It was built to shift retirement costs and risk onto you, leaving your savings exposed to crashes, inflation, and chaos. But Americans are waking up and taking control with real assets like gold. Gold Investments has helped thousands secure their future by converting part of their 401k into a tax-advantaged gold IRA without penalties or headaches. It's safe, it's simple, and it's smart. Visit nextnewsgold.com to get your free wealth protection kit and discover how to save savings. Open a qualified account today and receive 2 5-ounce silver America the Beautiful coins absolutely free. That's nextnewsgold.com, your exit from the danger zone. Also, the number on the screen, 877-646-5346. Give them a call. Tell Colin that Gary Franchi said hello. Now, 9 hours ago, in the Oval Office, President Trump laid in to Adam Schiff. Listen.
One more thing on Adam Schiff. Director Pulte reports that Adam Schiff claims he lived in a 1-bedroom apartment. How does a family of 4, you're a developer, very successful developer, how does a family of 4 live in a 1-bedroom apartment?
Now, it looks like Adam Schiff really did a bad thing. They have him. Now, let's see what happens. It's not up to me. It's not up to, I stay out of it purposely. But it's mortgage loan fraud. It's a big deal. He defrauded banks and insurance companies and the federal government. But it's very simple. It's mortgage loan fraud. And you're right. It's a lot of people to live in a 1-bedroom apartment, right? But he put it down. But he has a lot of other things following that. So, no, Adam Schiff, they have him 100% on mortgage fraud. Now, if there's anybody else in this room except you would have no problem. But anybody else in this room, you'd have a problem. I'd have a problem.
Yeah, they go after President Trump, and of course they did, over his loans. Here we have this from Real America's Voice. Senator Shifty Schiff's resident is about to blow wide open, Walter Kurt writes. Newly revealed mortgage files reveal Adam Schiff has juggled primary residence status like a shell game for 2 decades. Oh, boy, listen.
Well, the credit for this really has to go to, there's a congresswoman that's running for Congress, Christine Bish, over in California, and she sent me a file. She said, I need you to look at this. And this is all of the mortgage documents for Adam Schiff. Back to 2003 when he first sold his home in California. He essentially hasn't claimed residence in California since 2003. I mean, really, he's been a resident of Maryland for this whole time. So I went through the documents, and the most recent one, which is what I got him on, which is the 2020. He, within a month of each other, he signs primary residence in 2 different locations, 2 different states at the same time. You can't do that. So he's aiming primary residence in both California and in Maryland at the same time. But the bigger question, which I'm still working on, this is the rest of the documents that I'll be releasing, is that during the times that he was running for House and Senate, he wasn't a resident of California. I mean, that's a good question. So he's not even a resident of California, and he's a representative of California. And, but the worst part about this is for him, he can't claim ignorance. He got an ethics complaint in 2009 for this. He's been doing this, flip his residence wherever it suits him since 2009, or at least possibly before that. So he can't claim ignorance. This to me looks like he is intently doing this. And, the Maryland house, he considered his primary residence for 17 years up until he refinanced his place in California in 2020. So, I don't see how he doesn't have some serious problems here.
And listen, they opened the door to this. The Democrats did with these mortgage-based indictments against President Trump in New York City, New York State. When that happened, I couldn't believe it, because everybody knows this is something that a lot of politicians have been shifty on well before Adam Schiff came around. And I thought to myself, boy, they're really touching a third rail here, because there's absolutely very few people who aren't guilty of some of this. And this is just opening, and they're going to start with the people who have been most critical of Trump, but there's going to be a lot of people on this list if they don't take care of this. Walter Kurt, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for your continued work on this story. We'll definitely...
Yeah, we're going to keep tracking this one here. Let's take a listen real quick here. What do we got? Now, this goes back to May. Letitia James now facing 30 years in federal prison and $1 million fine because she lied on loan applications. Yeah, it's like, is this like modus operandi for all these people? Schiff, Letitia James, and then they go after Trump, right, for his loans while they're doing the same thing? Listen.
Residents, things that
Letitia James over alleged mortgage fraud. James denies the allegations and says she's being targeted by the Trump administration. For more on this, let's bring in Fox News Sunday anchor and chief legal correspondent Shannon Bream. So what's this out, and does the Justice Department have a case?
So there are allegations that she did not give proper information on loan documents, possible mortgage documents about primary residence, things that would have given her a better loan system to work with, more favorable terms. She and her attorney are completely denying it. They say this is complete revenge. And listen, presumed innocent. That's a great thing about our system. And an investigation is one thing. Do you get to charges? Do you get to a trial? I don't know. But Democrats have been telling us for years, as they did when she brought charges against President Trump, no one's above the law. You got to work through the process in the system, and we'll see how far it goes with her.
So essentially, she's being charged with something very similar to what she charged Donald Trump for. Letitia James over alleged.
Oh, you got to love it. You got to love it. Let's check in with what Pam Bondi said in June. Pam Bondi filing charges against the state of New York Governor Kathy Hochul and Attorney General Letitia James.
We're here today because we filed charges against the state of New York. We have filed charges against Kathy Hochul. We have filed charges against Letitia James and Mark Schroeder, who is with DMV. This is a new DOJ, and we are taking steps to protect Americans. New York has chosen to prioritize illegal aliens over American citizens. It stops today. As you know, we sued Illinois, and New York didn't listen. So now you're next. Millions of illegal aliens with violent records have flooded into our communities, bringing violence and deadly drugs with them.
So the bad news continues to stack up for Letitia James. Let's check in with Tucker Carlson. Speaking of corruption, how's Letitia James worth $15 million when making $200,000 a year?
Inflated his net. Speaking
speaking of corrupt, the Attorney General of New York, Letitia James, who reportedly is worth $15 million despite making less than $200,000 a year in her job. How did that happen? If true, congratulated herself, as always, after the ruling.
Everyone must play by the same rules. Donald Trump engaged in deceptive business practices and tremendous fraud. Donald Trump falsely, knowingly inflated his net worth by billions of dollars to unjustly enrich himself, his family, and to cheat the system. Donald Trump may have authored the art of the deal, but he perfected the art of the steal.
So the rest of us for decades now have been bullied into allowing the dumbest and most corrupt among us to run everything. They occupy positions of power in every big city in the United States, prosecutors' offices, and obviously they're tearing down what they didn't build. That's exactly what we're watching now. Maybe stop allowing that.
Oh, yeah. How did she get so rich? American Maid writes, no, just no. We're tired of bankrolling the liberal stupid left agenda when we haven't even taken care of our own citizens. This is just another siphon money into another corrupt pet project. No more Letitia James. So we've got files charged against Letitia James, Kathy Hochul in New York. We've got Letitia James facing 30 years in federal prison, $1 million fine for crimes that she accused Donald Trump of doing, that she did herself. President Trump laying into Adam Schiff today in the Oval Office, and the mortgage document coming to light. So we're going to keep tracking this very closely. Don't go anywhere. If you got value from this report, tap subscribe. My final thought is next. So this is poetic justice at its finest. While Letitia James was grandstanding Trump's finances, she was committing actual fraud to build her mysteriously massive wealth. While Adam Schiff was manufacturing evidence for impeachment, he was lying to banks across multiple states for 20 years. These are infractions. These are federal felonies that destroy regular Americans' lives. But when you're part of the protected class, you thought you'd never face consequences, right? Wrong. Pam Bondi isn't just going after them individually. She's filing charges against the entire corrupt New York system. Every American who's been crushed by these political prosecutions while the real criminals walk free deserve to see justice served. The same rules for everyone, or no rules at all. So here's the question. Should corrupt prosecutors double the prison time of regular citizens? Yes or no? Remember, if you want to support our efforts here to expose the truth, you can grab some merch at shop.nextnewsnetwork.com. Help us expose President Autopen and that beautiful new all-inclusive resort down in Florida. Yeah, Alligator Alcatraz. Maybe you heard of it. Or you can pick out your favorite member of the administration, wear them with pride, and trigger a liberal today at shop.nextnewsnetwork.com. Okay. Some super chats that just came through. Thank you, guys. Yes, the President Autopen story is coming up next, so stick around. I got the order mixed up mentally, but we have Craig, Nebraska, reporting for duty. God bless all patriots here. Thank you, Gabe, for all that you do. Our Boyd dropping $10. The fuse has been lit. Sit back and enjoy the show, folks. Get your popcorn ready. Thank you for that 10. We'll put that in the jar. And Drake to David says, Gary, you sexy beast. I'm not gay, but I would totally slow dance with you. My goodness. Haha. Again, thank you for everything you do. I'm a trucker that drives from Indy to Chicago 6 days a week, and I tell all I can about you. Thank you, Drake. Yeah, slow dancing. Appreciate it. Flattered. But you got to love the truckers out there, man. You guys keep America rolling along. And I remember stories when I was younger and we were DVDs. We called it the Lone Lantern Triple Threat. And that was my first organization that we would burn DVDs. We'd go out in the street and we'd pass them out all over the country. Or we'd pass them out around Chicago. And I would get stories. People would email me And there was one trucker I remember who messaged me, and he said, "Gary, I'm passing your DVDs out at truck stops. So when the truckers are out and they want something to watch or listen to, they would get my DVD. And it had a documentary film that I had created at the time on it, along with Loose Change and something else. I forget what else was on it. But it was so cool to hear this network of truckers that were spreading truth across America, because, I mean, they are the artery. They are in the artery of America, going from stop to stop to stop. And the people they interact with, you know, the blue collar America, the people who work their ass off, who care, the backbone of this country, the people that make this country work are the ones that are waking up and sharing the message. And the message, even back then, this was like years ago, before we had YouTube and stuff like that, was permeating through the undercurrent of America just through DVDs that we were burning back then. Now we have a YouTube channel and we reach millions of people. So, you know, it all starts somewhere, and the truckers were the backbone of that of that movement to get the message out. So very cool, Drake. Thank you for sharing that. Duct Tape has become a member. Welcome, Duct Tape Engineer. All right, let's take a list. Let's look at the trivia answer. What? Are you serious? No way. No way. Are you kidding me? You guys said To Kill a Mockingbird. I said To Kill a Mockingbird.
How dare you?
Oh, no. Are you serious? My Cousin Vinny? The answer is My Cousin Vinny. I love that movie. James actually referenced this comedy in speeches about her legal career, which is ironic given her current fraud charges. All right. That caught me off guard. Dave the Patriot just dropped $10. And what does he have to say? Remember, this is your show, guys. These super chats, your way to get your message out to the American people. Dave the Patriot says, Gary, please remember that Barry is not the top. He was a Manchurian candidate. Well, yes, I know what you mean. He was handpicked by the CIA, and he was, you know, carried all the way through, you know, all of his different college applications, birth certificates, all these things. I know he was curated. Is that the word I'm looking for? He was manufactured and moved right through the system all the way to the top. Okay, let's get to our next question here. What percentage of Biden's first 100 executive orders were later found to have Autopen signatures, according to internal sources? Ooh, first 100 executive orders. Damn. I'm going to go 68%. I don't think it's as high as 99. First 100, because we did see, there was video of him actually signing executive orders. Or I remember the picture of him having a big stack of them. So we'll see. Maybe 68, maybe 99. I don't know. We're going to find out after this segment. You guys say it was 68%. And yes, guys, I am hearing the audio issue as well. Not sure what is causing that. We're going to do some investigating later on to figure out exactly what is happening there. So just bear with us. We will be investigating it. What if I told you the Biden presidency was fake from day one? Not metaphorically fake, literally, signed by a machine. We're continuing our coverage of the Autopen scandal here, and now a White House whistleblower, Gabrielle Kushia, has just exposed the biggest constitutional crisis in American history. Executive orders, military directives, pardons, all signed by robot, while Biden couldn't even hold a pen. Now, this isn't about an old man's sticky hands. This is about a shadow government running America through an Autopen while a supposed president was mentally gone. Dr. Fauci, Mark Milley, treason pardons signed by machine. Those executive orders that crushed our economy, robot signature, every official act, every law, every decision potentially illegitimate. The paper trail proves it. And now the question becomes, who was really running the country? Stay tuned. While they were signing America's future away with robots, most guys think their declining energy comes from age or genetics. Wrong. It's actually something that you are eating. It's been called healthy. This one food devastates testosterone levels, and you're probably having it weekly. It's not junk food or sugar. It's way more unconnected. Our friends at Sculpt Nation, they've seen clients transform by cutting this one thing out. They're building muscle, burning fat, and feeling energized again. Just like exposing the Autopen lie transformed how we see the presidency, you can head to sculptnation.com to their revealing video, sculptnation.com/NNN. This one change could transform everything. It's linked down below. Okay, this just in, a whistleblower blowing the lid off of Biden's Autopen lies. She worked inside the system. Former White House correspondent Gabriel Kashia just exposed the Biden administration's Autopen scam. She personally handled the process and says there's a strict paper trail for every single auto-signed document. Nothing gets printed for signature unless it's clearly marked ready for AP, and staff must log it with the Office of Records Management. It's all on file. It's all traceable. Yet Biden claims he doesn't remember, and others act like there's no way to verify any of it. It's all in the National Archives, and it's on the White House servers, and they know it. It's not ignorance. This is lying in sight, and some people need to be in handcuffs. Stop letting them treat you like you're too stupid to notice. Wall Street apes posting the video of Gabrielle blowing the whistle. Buckle up, folks. Listen.
Perjure themselves. We never print out any presidential document that requires the signature unless it says in writing, ready for AP, AP being Autopen. Then myself or any of my former coworkers would take that document, walk it up to the 5th floor of the executive building, and we would hand it over and stand there, sign a piece of paper with Office of Records Management. There's a whole process that is required to be cataloged. So when you hear someone say, I don't know who told me which way or whatever. Well, even look at the recent New York Times article. Joe Biden said, I was responsible for all of those 1,000 plus pardons. And Jeff Zients, the chief of staff, was also there, and he can vouch for me. All that is in the National Archives. It's on the White House server. So if these people don't want to necessarily perjure themselves, although I think they already have guilt by admission in some cases and omission, there is an easy process in which the National Archives and the White House servers themselves, we never print out any presidential document that requires the signature unless it says in ready for AP, AP being Autopen. Then myself or any of my former coworkers.
So she is now speaking publicly about this. If Trump were dirty, the Democrats would have released the files while they had a corpse with an Autopen in the White House. Weekend at Biden's. Yeah, that's basically the entire administration in one photograph. In one meme, weekend at Biden's. 4 hours ago, MRC News posted this. The leftist media brazenly neglects Biden's Autopen scandal while naming Trump a hypocrite for calling it out. Here is Curtis Houck calling them out on Real America's Voice. Listen.
Well, a report from News laid out that ABC, CBS, and PBS didn't cover the Autopen scandal at all. NBC gave it less than 40 seconds, just to give you an idea. If this doesn't show the bias in media and what the real agenda, they are no longer interested at all in talking about what's true or in sticking to traditional sorts of news platforms where you report what's in the news.
Yeah, Dr. Zena, this one is absolutely stunning to take a look at just to see the numbers. NBC also on their website last week tried to push this insanely stupid story with James Comer claiming that he's a hypocrite because he uses like Adobe DocuSign to send out like letters asking people to come in before the House Oversight Committee, as if that's kind of the same thing. President Trump had a really great soundbite on this last week that wasn't pointed out by the mainstream media, which is the Autopen was created, you know, to put the presidential signature on like a letter to like a little boy who wrote to the president, not for major important, you know, things like pardons, signing bills into law, those like really things a president should be involved with. And it was the fact that Biden didn't know what was going on. Even the New York Times, as much as they tried to cover for him, admitted in the story after talking to him that things would change, people that they were going to pardon, new details came to light, and they didn't update the president on this at all. They just went ahead and signed it anyway. So it's not that it exists, it's that it was done without Biden really knowing what his signature was being affixed to.
He had no idea what was going on. None. Here's 27247AG posting with the investigation into the Autopen. This is 5 hours ago. With investigations into the Autopen presidency underway, left-leaning media and politicians are finally confronted with the truth that was right in front of our faces for years. Joe Biden was not running the country, and America was led by an unelected, unaccountable Politburo. Unable to discharge the powers and duties of his office, the vice president shall immediately assume the powers and duties of the office of the acting president. Yeah, they could have done the 20, but then they couldn't control Kamala Harris, right? The shadow government needed an incapacitated president so that they could push their agenda through. If Kamala was in charge, they wouldn't be able to do that. She would be able to actually, you know, fulfill the office, the powers of the executive branch, the powers of her office. And the entire administration would change. All those people, Zients on down, would have changed. It would be a complete shift of power in the Oval Office. So if they were to enact the 25th Amendment, lost power of the shadow government to move forward. Here we have this flashback of General Mark Milley. He said he would give China a heads up if the U.S. was planning to attack and had secret calls with China back behind Trump's back. They call it. New York Times just confirmed his preemptive pardon was approved by a White House assistant and signed by an Autopen. It is void. Charge him.
Let him know.
As Chinese thought wrongly that the United States was going to attack them. I am certain, guaranteed certain, that President Trump had no intent to attack. And it was my task to make sure I communicated that. And the purpose was to de-escalate, calm things down.
You shared all that earlier. I understand. Just say, did you or did you not tell him that if we were going to attack, you would let him know?
As part of that conversation, I said, General Lee, there's not going to be a war, there's not going to be an attack between great powers. And if there was, the tensions there'd be calls going back and forth from all kinds of senior officials. I said, hell, General Lee, I'll probably give you a call, but we're not going to attack you. Trust me, we're not going to attack you. These are two great powers, and I am doing my best to transmit the president's intent, President Trump's intent, to ensure the American people are protected from an incident that could escalate.
I understand your intent, but I think you articulating that you would tell him, you would give him a call, I think is worthy of your resignation. I just think that's against our country, that you would give our number one adversary that information and tell him that.
Chinese.
You wonder why Milley got a pardon? That clip says it all. A manufacturer scandal. Cody Wan, 6 hours ago. It's a manufacturer scandal. The SCOTUS, Supreme Court, has reaffirmed more than once that the Autopen is not unconstitutional to use. It's a weak distraction, they're saying, from Epstein and everything else. But okay, so even if SCOTUS reaffirmed that it's not unconstitutional, but the president didn't know, then it is. So Cody Wan, yeah, dude, whatever. Oh, what's this? Pocahontas with her Autopen. B. Wilkins III. Why don't you shut your trap, Autopen? No one likes you. We don't care about your opinions. You should be in prison. Pocahontas. Oh, we found the Autopen. Yeah, there it is. Barack Obama. Joe Biden clearly incapacitated behind him. Of course, AI imagery, at its finest. Here's a question. Does anyone actually believe Biden knew who was using the Autopen? Yeah, the guy couldn't walk upstairs, couldn't ride a bike, couldn't find his way off a stage. Yeah, the guy was in bad shape. Here's what Thomas Hearn had to say. If that was my son, I would take him behind and I would beat him with a stick. I'm serious. Mr. Wonderful goes off on Hunter Biden for vulgar language. Oh, okay. So that was a quote from Mr. Wonderful. Listen.
It's a long.
Very helpful
Think about Joe Biden
to former President Biden
as a servant for all those years, a phenomenal public servant. The last 4 a little tough. If that was my son, I'd beat him with a stick. The disrespect that he's giving to his family, the trashing of the Biden brand. I don't know Biden's policies, but I respect him for his long service. He was a phenomenal politician for a long time. The end was bad, but this is, I mean, I'm outraged at him. If that was my son, I would take him behind the barn and I'd beat him with a stick.
Okay. I mean, you can't be surprised, though.
I'm serious.
What he's referring to is the interview that Hunter Biden gave, where Hunter was just losing his mind. I mean, he was talking about cocaine and all this crazy stuff. I played a couple clips yesterday. Now, we did play the whistleblower clip earlier. I want to see if this is anything different. Let's listen.
Executive building. We never print out any presidential document that requires the signature unless it says in writing, AP being Autopen. Then myself or any of my former coworkers would take that document, walk it up to the 5th floor of the executive building, and we would hand it over and stand there, sign a piece of paper with Office of Records Management, has the key, they press the button, and they go ahead and execute that Autopen signature. I take it, go to the West Wing, give it to the staff secretary. They will verbalize to me, I can prepare a press release, but we wouldn't do any of that again until it was also in writing by the staff secretary, and then we disseminate to press. So there's a whole process that is required to be cataloged. So when you hear someone say, I don't know who told me which way or whatever. Well, even look at the recent New York Times article. Joe Biden said, I was responsible for all of those 1,000 plus pardons. And Jeff Zients, the chief of staff, was also there and he could vouch for me. Jeff Zients was working at the same time that Neera Tanden and Stephanie Feldman were. So for Neera Tanden, I'm sure Stephanie's coming on in next for questioning to say who told me. All that is in the National Archives. It's on the White House server. So if these people don't want to necessarily perjure themselves, although I think they already have guilt by admission in some cases and omission, there is an easy process in which the National Archives and the White House servers themselves, I worked in White House IT as well before that position, it's all in there. We never.
Now, I want to point out, she commented on this video. You see what it says at the bottom of the screen there? For the record, I live a happy life. Everybody. Clearly a coded message. You can read between the lines. So we have this too. 9 hours ago. We've played this clip before, I believe. Real Robert posted this 9 hours ago. And this, one of the greatest criminal conspiracies ever perpetrated against the American people. They began using the Autopen on day 5 of Biden's installation in the White House. By June 2021, its use had skyrocketed. In other words, the vegetable so incapacitated they had to automate the presidency while pretending everything was normal. This wasn't just political theater. It was a coordinated deception, a criminal conspiracy carried out by unelected handlers in the government, Congress, and the intelligence community.
In Biden's tenure, when the president signs...
Mr. Theodore Wald testifying before Congress.
When the president signs, he communicates his assent and endorsement of the action he takes. The Autopen is a device that signs the president's signature to a document. The Oversight Project, of which I am a board member, has discovered that the Biden White House deployed an Autopen to affix President Biden's signature to pardons, prison commutations, executive orders, and presidential proclamations. The Oversight Project's research has found that the Biden White House first deployed Autopen to affix President Biden's signature to a proclamation on day 5 of his administration, and that there were at least 3 different Autopen signatures in use throughout President Biden's tenure in the White House. In June 2022, the Biden White House began deploying the Autopen to sign clemency warrants and executive orders. Autopen use skyrocketed from there. We found that of the 51 clemency warrants issued during the Biden presidency, over half, 32 in total, signed with an Autopen. And these include some of the most controversial acts of clemency of the Biden presidency, including death row commutations and the preemptive pardons of members of the Biden family, Dr. Anthony Fauci, General Mark Milley, and more that were issued in the final days of the Biden presidency. We reviewed President Biden's schedule and his publicly available media and were unable to find any record of President Biden's personally approving these actions, such as a statement issued by the president himself. Supporters. When the president signs.
And now we have a whistleblower coming forward, revealing the chain of custody and how these Autopen signatures are put to paper. You got the New York Times, you got a whistleblower, you got all the people in Biden's inner circle pleading the fifth. The story's not going away, folks. Neither are we. If you got value from this report, tap subscribe. My final thought is next. This Autopen is everything we thought we knew about the Biden years. We weren't just dealing with a confused president. We had a complete shadow government operating using a rubber stamp to run America. Every military decision, every pardon, every executive order that destroyed our economy and opened our borders, all potentially invalid. Mark Milley, admitting to treason, got pardoned by a robot. Now that pardon is worthless. This isn't just fraud, it's coup by paperwork. Somebody was making decisions while Biden was eating ice cream, and we deserve to know who. The constitutional implications are staggering. Every law, every appointment, every internal agreement, all now in question. And if our republic dies, it won't be from bullets. It'll be from bureaucrats with rubber stamps. So here's the question. Should every Autopen signed Biden decision be automatically reversed? And what would happen to our republic if they were? Drop your response in the comments below. Let's continue this conversation. And while you're at it, you can show your patriotism and you can help us continue to expose the Autopen conspiracy with our President Autopen shirt. Have you seen it? I think you'll like it. It's hilarious. Nice subtle way to bring this into the conversation when you wear it. Also, we've got our Alligator Alcatraz shirt right here. We got our MAG Avengers shirt, Next News hats. We got mugs. We've got our American Badass series. Find something you like and support our network at the same while triggering a liberal at shop.nextnewsnetwork.com. Okay, looks like you guys are on fire with these super chats. What's up? Squeeze a Lot is back. Who decided an Autopen was appropriate to direct our country, just like voting machines connected to the internet are safe? Yeah, it's because they wanted to control the presidency. We knew it. We knew President Biden was going to be a puppet from day one, and they just used an Autopen. It's worse than we imagined. Dave the Patriot writes, big uncovered story. Biden's secretary appointments apparently actually signed their names on paper, making their positions null and void officially. Please dig into this. Dave the Patriot. Interesting. Biden's secretary appointments never signed their names. Huh. Okay. All right. Well, thanks for the tip. Todd, maybe you want to make a note of that? And then we have this from Tom B420. American flags. $5. Thank you guys for that. Okay, we'll put this in the jar right next to the others. And what else have we got here on the super chat front? Sioux Studio 0530, good to see you. Another let the salt flow. $5. Gotta love it. You guys are awesome. We're at $115.29 tonight. That's a great number to look at. Thank you guys for supporting the show. We're not done yet because we got to get into just the lunacy of what is happening in this country. All the booms. But before we do, let's check in with our answer. You guys said 99.9%, and I was torn between C and D. My initial thought was C, 68. You guys said D. So, right. Well, you guys did get it wrong. And I was kind of half right. All right. My initial thought was 68%. They write here, insiders claim over 2/3 of Biden's early executive orders show telltale Autopen characteristics, though ice cream orders were definitely hand-signed. Okay, what is the next... Wait a minute. Wait, not boondoggles. We're going to... Where is the topic? Wait a second. We're talking about something changed here. Todd, did something change? Because so all the Fed stuff is in boondoggles? Oh, okay. That's where I got confused because I thought it was its own. All right. Oh, yes. Okay, here we go. Okay. Here's the question. What did Fed Chair excuse me. What did Fed Chair Jerome Powell accidentally call interest rates during a hot mic moment at Jackson Hole? Now, I do know the answer, so I'm not going to reveal it, but was it A, economic vitamins, B, middle class crushing pills, C, my little money levers, or D, the people's problem? Drop your answer in the chat, comment, or poll, and we'll get to the answer after this segment. American families can't afford homes while foreign nationals get special bank programs to buy up our neighborhoods. The Federal Reserve has exploded spending 400% while Jerome Powell plays games with your future. But here is the kicker. A fake resignation letter from Powell went viral today, and people at the highest level of government actually fell for it. I mean, they wanted it to be true so badly they didn't even verify. They didn't even look close. That's how desperate America is for real leadership at the Fed. Trump calls Powell too late for good reason. And this isn't about interest rates anymore. It's about a system so broken, even fake news about fixing it goes viral. The truth is worse than any hoax. So stay tuned. Now, the American healthcare system is as broken as our baking. Big Pharma gouges you while insurance companies grow fat on your premiums. That's why I take control naturally. Better blood flow means more oxygen to your brain, your heart, and muscles, keeping you sharp while they try to drain your wallet. I use Blood Flow 7 from Juvenon. It boosts nitric oxide levels 230% and opens arteries up to 62%. One dose daily improved my stamina, energy, and focus without stimulants. While the Fed prints money for themselves, invest in your health. Visit bloodflow7.com/NNN or click below to learn more. So this was going viral today. Fake. But, wow, if it were only true. That viral Jerome Powell resignation letter making the rounds, 100% AI-generated fantasy. No, the Fed chair didn't step down, but with them still squeezing Americans, it's easy to see why people wish this were real. Now, at first glance, when I saw this letter, I said, this right off the bat looks fake. I mean, I could just see the paper. I mean, not the paper, but I could see the background. I could see the color of the font. It just looked like a fake letter. But if you take a closer look at it, I'm going to show you. Look at the. That is not the logo of the Federal Reserve. Clearly, I mean, real sloppy. I mean, if someone's going to take the seal of the Federal Reserve, I mean, you could probably find it on like Google Images and put it on a picture, right? You could probably lift it and make a better one. But no, this is a totally fake seal. It was on this. Yeah, Joe Perticone. Very real, not AI-looking seal of the Federal Reserve. Excellent was senior senator. Yeah, Senator Mike Lee, he fell for it, tweeted and appears to have deleted. And he got roasted online. People saying, Mike Lee is an idiot. GOP senator brutally roasted for falling for phony Powell resignation letter. Mike Lee is an idiot. And I think we have, here is his actual tweet. Powell's out. And they post a picture of the letter. But a quick look at the image of the letter reveals some tells that certainly seem to be obvious. For starters, letters addressed to the president, the White House, Washington, D.C., several oddly placed hyphens, such as when the word grateful is broken into grateful in the closing paragraph. Yeah. So everybody wants Powell out. He's hurting the country with his high interest rates. President Trump calling him a moron and a loser and too late. So it's easy for people to jump on this and be deceived because this is what we want. We want to see Powell out. Utah Senator Mike Lee posted and deleted a fake letter saying Fed Chair Jerome Powell had resigned. Let's see here. I think we have President Trump here. This is President Trump 10 hours ago in the Oval Office. Here he's talking about the Fed chair.
Out. I think he's doing a bad job, but he's going to be out pretty soon anyway. In eight months, he'll be out. But I call him too late. He's too late all the time. He should have lowered interest rates many times. Europe lowered their rate 10 times. We lowered ours none. And it's causing a problem for people that want to buy a home. Look, our economy is so strong now, we're blowing through everything. We're setting records. You know that, you see that. And whether it's the Philippines or anyone else, we're setting records at levels that nobody's ever seen before. But you know what? People aren't able to buy a house because this guy is a numbskull, keeps the rates too high, and probably doing it for political reasons. The only time I remember him cutting rates, I mean, he cut the rates just before the election to try and help Kamala or whoever he was trying to help. He probably didn't know. And he's building a building. He's $2.7 billion. They have a $900 million overrun. What is that? And that was given by Biden. That was another Biden deal. And this guy's building this building that's severely overrun. And what does he need the building for? What does he need? He needs space for more people. So they did a big study the other day, and they called all of the great intellects and the great economists and all of the great everything. And they 71, and only 2 got it right. Me and another gentleman that happens to be very smart. 69 people got it wrong, and the Fed got it wrong, more wrong than anybody. And you know, he has these think tanks, and they build buildings for people that think. They're not thinking. It's a little bit of combination of thinking, but it's something you sort of have or you don't have. They don't. The job he's done is just terrible. He ought to raise interest rates. You know, we should be at 1%. We should be leading the world. Instead, we're paying 4%. And if you look at what that means, that's over $1 trillion in interest that we have to pay. That with the striking of a pen, we would be saving more than $1 trillion. I think he's doing a bad job.
Yeah, a bad job is an understatement. Here's Kevin O'Leary. Trump can't sell a consumption tax, so he sells it. That's reality. Is this really his account? Okay, that's reality. Global players may complain, but they keep coming back to the table. Why? Because the U.S. market's at all-time highs. Don't buy the trust erosion nonsense. The money tells the truth. Trump's all-time high market. Listen.
Got it, but most countries around the world have a value-added tax, a consumption tax. Canada, Australia, Switzerland, the EU. So you buy something in France, they charge you 13% on an American tire.
And you get it back
bought
in
France,
at the airport.
13%. So what's going to happen here at the end of the day, and the market believes this, I believe this too, is that reciprocal tax will equal the VAT tax. Trump can't sell a consumption tax in America to Congress, but he can sell a tariff.
The point is, the deals are not happening.
I got
That's
it,
the, I mean, I think that's really important.
The reason why he's not getting these deals, I just think we got to talk about the big picture here. If you're a foreign government, ally or adversary, or counterpart, whatever, are you going to make a deal with Donald Trump? And how can you believe that the U.S. is not going to have a sporadic change 3 years from now? I think Trump has eroded global trust in the American economy and American deal making.
You mean the all-time high market ever in
high because they don't believe
the all-time high.
They think Trump is going to chicken
never
out.
been higher, never been worth more, never been more successful, never.
When the
it's eroded by trust, all-time high today at 4:30 in history, never worth more. What are you talking about? Most countries
he just got called out. Here's more. Here's the Treasury Secretary. For years, if you want to build a factory, a pipeline, a transmission grid, you were held up by permitting. That's now.
Is one of the most. This is a combination. It's the tariffs bringing back manufacturing to the U.S. It's the full expensing in the One Big Beautiful, which I think is one of the most important things that we did. Companies can do 100% expensing for equipment, 100% expensing for factories. If you bring your factory back here, I think we had big pent-up demand. We are in the middle of this incredible AI boom that, I don't know whether you want to say this is the third, fourth, fifth industrial revolution. So we're seeing the hyperscalers spend like we never have before. And I think what's really gone unheralded here is the Trump administration's emphasis on deregulation. We are making it possible to build things in America again. For years, if you wanted to build a factory, a pipeline, a transmission grid, held up by permitting, and President Trump has given, whether it's EPA, the Energy Interior, a mandate that these permits get out within a month. So America is building things again. And I tell you, this is the way that countries get rich and stay rich, is through long-term investment and productivity. This is a...
Let's go, baby. America's economy is coming back. So let's take a listen here. Scott Bissett to the Fed. I'm calling for an internal review. Finally, someone's going to audit the Fed. The Federal Reserve Board expenses since 2004 are up 4 times. They just print money and spend it. Damn.
The Federal, to be clear, I am calling for an internal review. An internal review, and I think that this could be Jay Powell's leg that the Fed, since the great financial crisis, has had what I call gain-of-function monetary policy, and the expenses have gone up a lot. The Federal Reserve Board expenses since 2004 are up 4x. I can tell you, at Treasury, we cut our expenses about 17% last year. So I think that this is a chance the Fed does a regular review of their monetary policy framework. I think that this is a good opportunity for Chair Powell's legacy to do an internal review of all the Fed's operations away from the monetary policy function.
Well, I mean, look, Bill, yep. Go ahead,
I was going to say, the monetary policy, is, we should keep that off to the side. That should be kind of like in a jewel box and protected, but everything else that the Fed has done over the years has just grown and grown and grown. And this is what happens when you don't have oversight. They aren't subject to appropriations. They either use the money they make. Right now, they're losing about $100 billion a year, so they just print money to spend it. And I think a thorough review should be done. Can be done, and I have confidence in Chair Powell that if he were to do this, we could right-size the non-monetary functions of the Fed and bring it back down. Like the Fed shouldn't. We're always talking about the Fed this, the Fed that. Monetary policy should run in the background on behalf of the American people.
Yeah.
To be clear,
not at the behest of a Fed chair. Who wants to spend $2.5 billion on a renovation and then no accountability. Here's more with this Treasury Secretary and the President Trump in the Oval Office a few hours ago.
That I called yesterday and this morning for the Fed to do a big internal investigation to understand not their monetary policy, but everything else. The Fed has had big mission creep, and that's where a lot of the spending's going. That's why they're building these new or refurbishing these buildings. And I think they got to stay in their lane. And I think that based on the way they cut rates last fall, they should be cutting rates now.
It's inconceivable, I know the Fed very well, that they can be spending $2.7 billion to build a building. They don't do anything. It's the greatest job. You show up one day, a half a day, you make a little speech. The economy is doing well, the economy is not doing well, we're going to raise interest. And he's got it wrong. That's why I call him too late, T-O-O, too late. And it's really too bad. But it is affecting people who buy houses, and that shouldn't happen. And he should lower them. Those rates should be 3 points lower. That's what they should be, 3 points lower, maybe more than that.
So just fire him for cause, man. Get it over with. Pull off the Band-Aid. Yes, that letter was a hoax. We all hoped it was true. Oh, and speaking of lunacy, did you see this one? 12 hours ago, End Wokeness posting Representative Yvette Clarke. This is how you hijack democracy. Listen to what she says.
I need more from Brooklyn, New York. We have a diaspora that can absorb a significant number of these migrants. And when I hear colleagues talk about, the doors of the inn being closed, in the end, I'm saying, I need more people in my district, but just for redistricting purposes. And those members could clearly fit here. I'm from Brooklyn, New York.
Oh, yeah. So she wants more migrants in the district, of course, and being accused for redistricting purposes. Let's check in with Stephen Miller. Here's what he has to say about the photos of the Empire State Building being built.
If you look at photos of the Empire State Building being constructed in record time, by the way, what you don't see there are any illegal aliens. You look at the photos of us landing a man on the moon, you look at the NASA control room, you don't see any photos of illegal aliens. Americans in this country, Americans sustained this country, Americans have powered this country for 2.5 centuries. Nobody voted.
Now, there is a community note on that. Let's see what it says. Rate proposed community note says Irish and other European immigrants were involved in the building of the Empire State Building, Irish Central. Many German scientists, engineers, and technicians were brought to the U.S. to help via Operation Paperclip. And I did rate this as not helpful, because it doesn't say anything about them being illegal. And that's exactly what Stephen Miller was saying. Oh, finally, something good is happening. Marco Rubio brings Democrat representative to the verge of tears for refusing to back down on revoking visas. Oh, Representative Jayapal. Oh, no.
Right. Does it here in the Constitution, does it say that the Secretary of State can override the First Amendment protections of free speech? Is there a footnote that I missed somewhere?
There's no constitutional right to a student visa.
So, but is there a
constitutional
right? Does it say somewhere that Marco Rubio gets to determine which speech is appropriate and revoke student visas based on what you think constitutes free speech?
There's a statute that says the Secretary of State gets to determine whether someone is we deny visas every day all over the world.
Do you think that the Immigration and Nationality Act trumps the Constitution of the United States, Mr. Secretary?
Well, Congress can always change the law if you want, but I'm telling you,
Mr. Secretary,
while I have the authority, I will
clear.
continue to revoke the visas of these people that come here to tear this country apart.
You said that, Mr. Secretary. Let me reclaim my time, because you are talking about revoking student visas based on what somebody says, and that means that you are trumping the legal Supreme Court, the supreme law of the land, which is the Constitution of the United States.
No one has
why
a right
did
to a
the
student
administration,
visa.
Mr. Rubio, why did the
Privilege.
administration need to use masked, armed, unidentified agents to whisk somebody off the street and deny her counsel for almost 24 hours after her
Well, you'll
arrest?
have to ask the agencies that did that work.
Well,
I'm
you
not
have-
responsible for that. I'm responsible for
but-
revoking the visas of these people that come to tear
Secretary
this country
Rubio,
apart.
I'm talking
Never
about
should have
this
allowed 'em in.
particular case where you revoked the student visa of a Turkish citizen who was a graduate student who wrote an op-ed that you didn't like. Suddenly you allow for masked men to whisk her off the street, and you have multiple jobs apparently. You're the national security advisor as well. So don't tell me it's not your job who snatches her off the street.
We don't do
If
the
these
snatching,
are
but I can tell you we do the visa revocations.
Let me
and
ask
we're
you
gonna
about
keep
the
doing them.
national security consequences of people, masked men on the streets snatching people off the streets. If these are legitimate law
Okay,
enforcement
I've had
agents,
enough of her. I can't stand her at all. Let's check in with Ben Berquan. Seen him in a while. Talking about the high-speed rail from California, from Fresno. Listen.
Monstrosity. Some good news coming out of California. For those that don't know, this is the California high-speed rail, or as I like to call it, the high-speed walking path. This monstrosity was sold to the California taxpayers as a project that was going to cost $33 billion, and it was already supposed to be finished. It's $100 billion over budget. $33 billion was what it was budgeted for. It's $100 billion over budget. It's 4 times what it was budgeted for. It is the definition of overcommitment bias. It's also the definition of why you don't vote for Democrats. And thank God, finally, the federal government is pulling out your federal tax dollars from this. They should have never been in this project to begin with. It was outdated. It's not even MAV. It's just old school high-speed rail. It's not even high speed because they added 100 stops, so the train never gets up to high speed. And now they're saying it may only stretch from Modesto to Bakersfield, which is great for the Central Valley, which is actually the part of the state that didn't want it to begin with. It was voted in by LA and San Francisco. The lunatics, radical environmentalists, said this was going to be better for our environment because it would allow people to get from San Francisco to LA in like 2 hours. It would take you like 7 hours. It's absolutely outrageous. And the funny thing is, it will never get built in San Francisco or LA. Hopefully, they don't build another mile of it. Hopefully, they stop the entire construction. But mark my words, you're going to hear Gavin Newsom and the Democrats coming out and saying, we have to finish it. We started it. We have to finish it. It's going to be this great thing for our legacy. It's going to be this great thing for the state. What it is an example of how pathetic the Democrats are. The entire...
If you got value from this report, tap subscribe. My final thought is next. So, this is economic warfare against American citizens. While you struggle to save for a down payment, banks roll out red carpet for foreign nationals using your tax-funded programs, yours. The Fed prints money like toilet paper, up 400% in spending while refusing to cut rates for struggling Americans. And that fake Powell resignation letter, it went viral because Americans are desperate for change. Officials actually believed it. That's how badly people want Powell gone. Even Trump fell for it momentarily before calling him too late again. Powell sits in his ivory tower while Harvard hoards $52 billion, still gets $7 billion in handouts. Now, these aren't policy failures. These are deliberate choices that put America last. The fact that a hoax resignation got more traction than real Fed policy tells you everything. So should Powell be forced to resign for real? For cause? Drop a yes or no. And you can support American business and the Next News Network at shop.nextnewsnetwork.com. It's linked below. Okay, no super chats to speak of. We're $115.29. And I want to see what you guys are saying. Make sure your currency is never controlled and mandated by banks, Adam says. Nikki, just the connection in the wire probably went bad. Does that to the sound at times. Yeah, we're still trying to figure that out, guys. I don't know. It could be a connection in my adapter. It could be the wire. It could be a converter. But for me, it sounds like it's some kind of phasing, some kind of weird phasing issue that's like, not sure exactly why. like there's some interference somewhere, but like we never touched these cables ever. So there's not like any electrical devices that have been placed newly near anything to create interference. I don't know. We'll figure it out. All right. Gary's getting bigger in more than one way. Hope he takes care of himself. Thanks. Morning Doom. Yeah, don't worry, buddy. I'm back in the gym. Okay, so let's get to our answer. What did Jerome Powell say in his hot mic moment? You guys said the people's problem. You were correct. Powell's hot mic moment revealed exactly what the Fed thinks about struggling Americans and their mortgage rates. All right, so normally I would stick around and we'd check out the news feeds. We'll save that for tomorrow. Got more work ahead of me after we close the show. So what a show, though. What we've exposed isn't just news. It's a reckoning. We started with Obama being named the ringleader of the biggest political crime in American history. Russiagate files are out, and Trump's promise of justice is not a threat. It's a guarantee. Hillary, Comey, Clapper, Biden, all in the crosshairs now. No more hiding behind classified stamps and redacted papers. And then we pulled back the curtain on Epstein Phase 2. Congress literally fled town to avoid voting on transparency. So think about that when your representatives ran away rather than reveal who was buying children. Ghislaine Maxwell, though, she's about to talk, and the establishment's in panic mode. Every name she drops is another domino in their house of cards. She knows who they are. Then we exposed Letitia James and Adam Schiff. Yes, the prosecutors who became the prosecuted. 30 years in federal prison for James, mortgage fraud across multiple states for Schiff. These corrupt officials thought they were untouchable while they hunted Trump, and now they're learning what real justice looks like when the tables turn. The Autopen scandal rewrites history. Every Biden signature was fake. Every law, every pardon, every executive order signed by a robot while someone else pulled the strings, and now whistleblowers coming forward. Mark Milley's treason pardon worthless, and the border crisis orders invalid. Yeah, we had a mechanical presidency, and now every decision is in question. And finally, we showed you how the Fed and big banks are crushing American dreams while rolling out red carpets for foreign nationals. That fake Powell resignation letter went viral. High-level officials actually fell for it. That's how desperate everyone is for real change. Powell's playing games with your future while Harvard sits on billions and still gets handouts. Your government is putting you last in your own country. So it's not just about politics anymore. It's about whether we are citizens or subjects, whether we have a republic or a regime, whether truth matters or only power counts. So to everyone who sent in super chats and Rumble rants tonight, you're the backbone of this movement, and one just came in. Gary deserves 500,000 subscribers. Thank you, Dave, the Patriots. Get her done. Well, we do have 2.25 million, and it's I look at the stats every day, Dave, and I get very concerned because it's clear that there is active censorship on this channel that refuses to allow our videos to go beyond our subscriber base. And we see regular purging of subscribers every single day. It's very frustrating. So thank you for dropping that $2. We appreciate you. It is your support that keeps independent media alive when they want us silence. You share the truth when they demanded lies. You stood firm when they tried to break us. So tell a friend about today's show. Text them the link. Share it on social media. I say this every day because it needs to be done. We need to break the algorithm. Okay, the algorithm cannot stop word of mouth. Every person you wake up is a soldier in this information war. And if you want to wear your patriotism proudly, you can hit our merch shop at shop.nextnewsnetwork.com and show the world that you are not backing down. The storm isn't coming, friends. It is here. The criminals, they're not hiding. They're exposed. And justice isn't hoping. It's happening. So thank you for joining the Raw feed. Keep fighting, keep sharing, and keep believing. The best is yet to come, and we will be here documenting every glorious moment of their downfall. You on the next show, Patriots. So stay strong, stay free, and stay tuned.
side.